Hello, 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 everybody. It's your girl, Ashlee, the amateur expert, and I am live for our last show of the year. Thank you guys for riding with me for the past, I want to say, 9 months so far. So today's show, I'll be interviewing my friend Sam. As soon as he gets in, I will interview him and ask him about his career path, his idea of success when he first started out, compared to his idea of success today. And then we'll talk about the tips and motivators that he used to help him get through. So I'm going to get him added, and then we'll get started. Okie dokie. Maybe, maybe not. Why does this always happen to me? Let's go. Sam's in the room. Perfect. All right, let's get him at it. You have me out here looking crazy, Sam. How are you, sir?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. So if you can, please introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are and what you do currently for work.
I'm Sam Hicks. I'm a cinematographer, filmmaker, and I work at a TV network called Cheddar. But I have put in my 2 weeks notice because
Hey.
I'm about to go to LA and be a full-time filmmaker.
Okay.
That's what it is. A writer, producer, director of photography.
That is so exciting. And so tell me, what did you want to be when you were a little kid?
A marine biologist.
And what was the motivating factor behind that?
Well, because I had this older friend who was into aquariums, and he was kind of like a mentor to me, and I just thought it was fascinating. I grew up on the Gulf of Mexico, so yeah, I thought it was fascinating. I did become a marine biologist though, but I've switching careers since then, so yeah, that's what I want to be.
And so what does it mean? Because when you first told me this, I was super intrigued. What does it mean to be a marine biologist?
Well, marine biology, by the discipline, is the study of marine life.
Mm-hmm.
But in a practical job, if you get a job to be a marine biologist at an aquarium, um, you can either go into research, and that's basically study of the marine life. So you can study different diseases of fish. You can study the climate of the ocean, like why certain levels are higher than others. But what I was doing, I was working with animals. So I was working with different aquarium life at the Dallas World Aquarium. So my job would basically be, I was responsible for like 10 different tanks between saltwater and freshwater. So I used to scuba dive with the fish, feed them, check all of the levels, like the pH levels, the
Mm-hmm.
nitrate, nitrite, salinity. If any fish died, I had to dissect the fish and see if it was any parasites that killed it. Basically, find out the cause of the death so it won't affect other fish in the same aquarium. So that's what I was doing.
That's cool. So how did you transition from being a full-blown marine biologist to becoming a cinematographer?
Well, I transitioned from marine biology and I became a sales rep at an advertising agency. And I started a blog. So I was blogging. And when I started this blog, it was at a time where the cell phones weren't as advanced as it is today. So you needed quality pictures
Mm-hmm.
for this blog. So I just asked this photographer who I knew who had taken pictures for my family at the time. I was living in Dallas, Texas, to take pictures for me. And she was like, yeah, I can take pictures. It's going to be $80 an hour. I was like, no, I ain't going to be able to afford that. If I want to put 2 blog posts up every week, that's going to be
Right.
like $160. So through a former job at an aquarium that I had, I knew this dude that did photography as a hobby. So I asked him when he showed me how to buy a camera, and he did. And when I got that camera, I started blogging. Then I got this opportunity I found out about this street art gallery because that's what my blog was about. I was blogging about street art.
Okay.
And I basically got blogged about this street art gallery, and man, they like invited me to shoot a showcasing that they had because they had artists from all around the world,
Oh wow.
and they had a showcasing. And basically, what they did was they started taking me to Miami, New York, just because of this camera. And I was just like, man, I went to Art Basel, and I was just like, man, and they brought my boy, they paid for everything, and I was just like, man, I don't even supposed to be here, man. Like
Right.
I'm this poor kid from Mississippi, and I was just like, man, this camera is powerful because I was in the VIP clubs, the hot man, very expensive places. And I was just like, man, if this camera can get me and my boy up in here, like with the playground that I got in Dallas, Texas, like,
Right.
what if I move to New York? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if I move to a bigger playing field? And that was the idea of me even thinking about moving to New York, just right there.
Okay.
But that's when I learned how powerful that camera was. When they just basically started taking me around, just
Right.
because I had my camera.
And so, when did your passion go from being from still photography to wanting to um, become a cinematographer? And I mean, you haven't mentioned it yet. I was waiting for the big drum roll release of your movie.
Oh, well, when I want to become a filmmaker, is basically I was living in Dallas, Texas. I'm a big fan of Nas, like big fan.
Hmm.
And at the time I was working at my job, he had this documentary coming out. So I was like, I gotta go see that. So I went and bought my ticket, and I went to the theater and seen this documentary, and like these filmmakers, One Nine and Eric Parker, who I am friends with today, but I didn't even know who they were at the time. But
Right.
man, the way they told Nas' story, it like captured it really like man changed my life, man. Like the way they told Nas' story, how he was making his first album, the way they showed the grittiness of New York, the way they used music to tell the story. Nas'
Mhm.
dad was from Mississippi, so that resonated with me. So when I seen that movie, that really made me want to like get into film and move to New York, and that's what really was the catalyst that made me move to New York. Me seeing that movie, and then I moved to New York. Had a job lined up, got fired from my job on my first day, and then I just started like just doing photography full time and just really trying to make any type of money that I can. And
Right.
I was just shooting for clubs, and I started assisting this cinematographer that I had met before I moved to New York via Instagram. And he kind of just took me under his wing and started showing me. I was assisting him for a long time, and then I started to buy my own camera and write
Mhm.
my own stories, and everything just progressed from there. Oh, you want me to tell me about my movie?
Before you do that, though, because I forgot to ask you before, what was your idea of success when you were still back in Dallas or when you were in Mississippi, when you were sort of chasing the dream or wanting to become a marine biologist? What did success look like to you then?
Well, success really didn't look like a marine biology job. I've always been like had an entrepreneur spirit. Only reason I really like pursued marine biology is because I kind of was forced to go to college, and I was just like, what? I was like, how do I pick a major? They was like major in something that you like, and
Okay.
and I like marine biology at the time. So, but my vision of success has always dealt around kind of like just making money from what I'm passionate about, and that still holds true to today. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So yeah, just making money and having the freedom and empowering people and being able to do what I love and getting paid for it. So that's my definition of career success. I mean, you want life, health, and strength as well.
Mm.
That's success in itself as well.
Okay. So your idea of success has sort of been the same throughout your career, or yeah, has your idea of success changed? Let me ask you that.
Not the fundamental of it, the levels of it. Because I mean, yeah, like I guess it's obstacles to checkpoints. That's what I would say. Like I had a goal to make 30. I had a goal to make 100 grand while I was 30, and I did that. But I don't feel successful. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't feel successful just because I did that because I still have a full-time job. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like I'm not, even though I am making money from what I'm passionate about, it's always being about entrepreneurship and being able to control my own destiny and empower people while I'm doing that. So that's it.
Okay. So, yes, please tell us about what you're currently doing with your film.
Oh, so well, one of my I done made two films, independently produced, executive produced. Um, I wrote one of them and I DP both of them. But my first film is about two kids that goes on this adventure in downtown Brooklyn. They go on this adventure. They take a helicopter. They take a limousine, um, and they sneak on the MTA bus just to get to this Outkast concert. That film is completed. Torn. It's currently touring film festivals. We was in like 8 film festivals this year, and I got
Nice.
three already that's in January next month. So that's doing well, and I'm looking at just different distribution options to see where the film's going to live. And I got another film that I made that's in post production called Barnell, and it's basically about a struggling actor who it explores the black male experience of a struggling actor who is basically trying to go full time with acting,
Okay.
and then he has these friends that's either enabling him to go full time or saying he needs to keep his job and just work at a company to support his lifestyle. So that's what the second film is about.
Nice. And so you said you're um okay, so if I was an aspiring cinematographer, what are some tips and motivators that you can give me to um, so either start the process or how did you build your team? Like, what are some tips or what are some things that you can teach me or enlighten me on?
I would say first off, just go around other filmmakers. Just like find out where they hang out. YouTube is a big resource, free, but YouTube can only take you so far. You know, cinematography is a hands-on thing that you have to get your hands on a camera and go out and shoot. You can learn technique from YouTube, but you got to put that technique in place
Right.
in real life by just going out with your friends. You can film your sister, your brother, your mama, whoever, you know. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
at this point, everybody want to, be in front of a camera. Most people do. So I would say find a community. Like one thing that has truly influenced my filmmaking career in New York City is finding a community. I would say the most prolific one was something called the Black TV and Film Collective. They have a big credit in my first film. I didn't even know how to even write a script when I first started. On my first film, I was writing in Word format, and anybody know who is a filmmaker know that scripts aren't written in Word format. Like it's a whole different language we're writing a script. There's certain indentions and the way a screenplay is formatted is not the same as just regular essays. So
Got it.
I took my screenplay to the Black TV Film Collective, and no, they couldn't even read it because it just wasn't right. But
Right.
they advised me to go download a free software, screenwriting software, and then I was able to watch some YouTube videos, and like 7 months later, I had a screenplay, and then I started to produce it, and I hired my producer from the Black TV Film Collective. I got my director, my entertainment attorney. So I would say find your community, and you have to be intentional about it. It's not just going to fall in your lap. You know, you have to get out. You have to meet people. You have to maybe
Mm-hmm.
pay some dues to be a part of this community. But if you really want it, you don't let nothing stop you. That's how I feel. Secondly, as number one, find your community. The second thing is you got to get your hand on the camera and start shooting. Educate yourself, but use the education in reality. Start shooting.
Does it matter what type of camera? Could I use my iPhone?
There's a movie on Netflix right now that was shot with an iPhone. The director is Steven Soderbergh. The movie is called something How Fly. It's about an NBA agent going into the going through the draft while it was a How Fly High. I think it's called Fly High.
Okay.
Fly High. It's the guy that was on Moonlight was in the
Oh,
movie,
okay.
the
Yep,
light
yep.
skinned guy. But so Netflix is like the biggest streaming company service in the world. So yes, there's been a lot of movies made on iPhones. Matthew Cherry made a movie on an iPhone. Like yes, you
So
definitely
if you want
can
to do
make a.
it, you can do it.
It's no excuses. You can make a movie on an iPhone, definitely.
And so I feel like I met you when you were recently, when you had just moved, I think, to New York. Um, Tell me about some of the ways that you kept yourself motivated in the early stages when you were still trying to find your way.
Really, just being around people who are doing it, being around people that I'm inspired by, having some people that are your peers that's kind of doing the same thing that you're doing, but on a higher level that can give you feedback and inspiration, and you can candidly share your problems with, and
Hmm.
they can give because they went through what you went through.
Right.
They can guide you. And also, I'm big on like self motivation. I'm always looking at, people's stories who come from unconventional backgrounds and who have made it to success. Like Muhammad Ali, I like Mike Tyson, I like Baby Slim Williams, Master P.
Hmm.
All these people overcame a lot of adversity, whether they've been a community, whether they've been, criminal justice system,
Right.
whether it been their own sometimes lack of self confidence, but they never let fear or any of those things paralyze their actions.
Right.
So that's what it is: self taught, self help, read books, and the people you got around you. If you got good people around you, inspiring people around you, you're gonna stay inspired. If you got haters around you, if you got people who are negative, it's gonna be hard to be inspired. It is.
Yeah, that's really good. So what's a lesson that you've learned or that you're still in the process of learning that you wish you had learned earlier on?
Well, I would say one thing that I'm still struggling with is definitely communication. Communication my emotions because I've stomached so much stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like just stomach so much. And really, it wasn't about like I lived a life of not about complaining so much and
Hmm.
being emotional and you know what I'm saying, doing all that. It just like I've always been like base for it, and that's not always the best thing, So
Yeah.
I would say that's something I'm still learning to do. Just be more candid about like what I'm going through and like with different people.
That's really good. And I think it's really good that you are able to, that you're aware of what it is, because now it's easier. It will be easier for you to find a solution or work towards that not being a problem for you anymore. So thank you for sharing that. Can you please share with us what you have coming up? So you have two movies that are, well, one movie that is already finished and in on the, what'd you say, the film scene or the
Film festival
film
circuit. So
festival circuit.
my next festival is January 25th in Denton, Texas. That's right outside of Dallas, Texas. Um, I'm actually planning a going away party because I'm leaving New York and I'm moving to Los Angeles to pursue filmmaking full time, and I'm gonna have a going away film screening. I'm actually going to screen both both of my films for a small audience that has been rocking with me these 5 years that I've been in New York, and so I would say look out for that. The film screening. Look out for the film screening. That's the next thing that's coming up. It's going to be around like it's January 16th, and the my film festival Outgrown will be screening in Denton, Texas. Will be the following week, and that will be January 25th.
And are you still doing a GoFundMe?
Well, I'm doing a Kickstarter.
Kickstarter for?
Yeah. So basically, what I'm doing, So I've invested personally $65,000 in the last 18 months
Whew.
independently on my own films. And what I want to do, I want to basically start a full-fledged film production company. Well, I'm going to do it. I'm doing that.
That's right.
So, and one of the tools that is going to enable me to, you know, proceed with this film production company is a camera. It's the same camera that I've used on my last two films. I've invested tens of thousands of dollars renting this camera, and I'm a DP first. So I'm raising money, $15,000 to secure the initial investment. The camera cost $35,000, but I've raised the other half of the money already. So I just need to raise this $15,000 and to secure the rest of the funds for the financing for this camera. And then I'm moving to LA, and I'm just gonna, make more films, empower more Black people.
I
Both
love
of
it.
my films featured Black and brown people. Um, my director on both films was Black. A lot of the crew was Black, and my lawyer was Black, producers was Black, and
That's awesome,
we was
Sam.
telling stories with people of color. So I just love Black people, and I want to empower more Black people, not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera too. And I just feel like, since I have produced two movies independently, put up my own money, I feel like, I am qualified to do a crowdfunding that to ask people to come join me and,
Right?
help me on my journey. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I'm excited to see where you're going to be going next, and I'm going to connect you to Rich, who was on the show maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. He's in LA already, and he's got an awesome shooting space, and he's also in the process of doing some things in the film world. So I'm going to connect you two. I think that will be a good connect for you and for him. You guys can learn from each other. So thank you so much for doing the show today. If you can, you've already taught me a lot today, but I call myself the amateur expert and claim to know a little bit about a lot. So if you could share with me a random tidbit of information.
About what? Cinema filmmaking?
Anything. But since that is your area of expertise, you could. Or it could be anything. A quote, a Snapple fact, anything.
I'll share a fact. I'm reading a good book right now, The Autobiography of Malcolm X, told by Alex Haley. I think everybody should go read that book because I think Malcolm X, for the Black person, for the Black man or the Black woman, he identifies. I think a Black person, I don't care if you at the top of the corporate ladder or, you know what I'm saying, you struggling in the hood. You can identify with Malcolm X because, he was all of that. You know what I'm saying, like at one point he was a criminal. He went to jail.
Right.
He wasn't focused. He was doing a lot of illegal things, and then once he went to jail, he completely educated himself so well that he was able to debate with intellectuals from Harvard, you know what I'm
Right.
saying, and how religious the Black community is. He was very devoted to, his Islam, the Nation of Islam religion. So, I just feel like everybody can learn from Malcolm X. And if you ever was in a struggling situation and you wanted to give up, I feel like if you read that book, you could find some inspiration to keep going. So that would be my tidbit. Read the autobiography of Malcolm X. It's a great book.
Perfect. Thank you, Sam. Where can people find you? Where can they find your movies? How can people support you? Let us know.
So you can go to my Instagram is Sam Shottit, SAMSHOTIT, or you can go to my film website. It's outgrownfilm.com, OUTGROWNFILM.com. Outgrown Film. Sam
Okay.
Shottit is everywhere. That's my website. That's my email, Instagram.
Perfect.
Outgrown Film has his own Instagram. Yeah, Varnell will be coming soon.
All right. So I'll have all that information in the show notes. Thank you so much again for being on the show, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
All right. Talk soon.
Bye-bye.